Suppose you have goals you really want to achieve. You want to become a doctor, you want a beautiful wife, and you want to have children. Suppose you're making progress in these goals. You're in medical school, you just got married, and you have a newborn. Suppose one day you're driving to the beach, your wife and baby by your side, and a drunk driver smashes into your car. Your wife and your child die. You go into a major depression. You drop out of medical school, and your top priority right now is to reduce your suffering. You find yourself gravitating to Buddhism and to views and practices influenced by and associated with Buddhism. One view that interests you is the idea that you can reduce your suffering and increase your happiness by becoming selfless, by letting go of the self. And some would say here, letting go of the illusory notion of the self. The self here, simplifying, refers to what you're strongly attached to, what you intensely cling to. I am or must become a doctor. I am or must become a husband to a beautiful wife. I am or must become a father. I am or must become a philanthropist. The self, you're told, is a source of suffering. You're interested in practices that cultivate selflessness, letting go of the self, of intense clinging. One practice you're taught is to cultivate concern for other people, to cultivate loving kindness and compassion towards others, to cultivate feeling happiness in other people's happiness. Concern for other people is often associated with unselfishness. Concern for the self, in the sense here of intense clinging, I must be a doctor, husband, father, philanthropist, is often associated with selfishness. To reduce your suffering and increase your happiness, cultivate the non-self or selflessness. Be less selfish and be more unselfish. This is a pretty popular view. Let's consider a different view of the self, that of Ayn Rand and her philosophy of objectivism. Let's return to the situation of losing your wife and child in the car accident, dropping out of medical school, and being in a major depression. Suppose you're in bed at noon with the blinds closed. Your friends knock on your door because you turned your phone off, and they want to keep you company and take you out into the sunlight. Do you feel like letting your friends go into your home right now? Do you feel like letting them nudge you out the door into the sunlight? Or do you feel like telling them to go away, leave you alone, give you some space so that you can be alone and in the dark? In the objectivist view, the self, yourself, is the sacred power inside you that enables you to care for yourself. Yourself is your mind, the faculty that perceives reality, forms judgments, and chooses values. Yourself is that power to notice how you feel as your friends knock on the door and urge you to answer, to think about what's best for you, to attune to what you need in the moment and in the long run, to decide whether to ask your friends to give you space right now or allow them in. Suppose you do want to be left alone, and you answer the door and tell your friends to go away. And suppose they are insistent. They're concerned about you. They're worried you may harm yourself, and they pressure you to allow them to keep you company. Yourself is that power within you to hear them, to think about what they're saying, and to do what's right for you. Do they make a good case? Am I in danger of harming myself? Should I let them keep me company even though a large part of me wants to be alone? Or should I set a boundary and reassert that I want to be left alone? And if I set the boundary and they push back, will I be able to hold to my boundary? Yourself is that power within you that enables you to stand up for yourself. Suppose you decide to be alone, and a few minutes later, you feel inspired to look up Buddhism. Yourself is that precious power within you that enables you to pursue this interest in a way that serves you. You grab your phone, turn it on, you listen to a few lectures on Buddhism and a few guided meditations, and they help you feel less terrible. Good, very good. Then you're interested in possibly going to a retreat. You find one. Should you go? Can you afford it? Will the stress of travel be too much? Yourself is that power within you that enables you to sort these questions out. Suppose you go and you don't enjoy it, and you want to leave the retreat after one day, but the retreat leaders encourage you to stick with it. Meditation is painful at first, but it will get easier, they say. Yourself is that power within you that enables you to make the best decisions for yourself. Maybe you'll go home right away. Maybe you'll try to stay another day. Yourself is that power that makes a choice, pays attention to the feedback, and learns from it. The most selfish thing to do, according to Ayn Rand, and in her view, selfishness is good, is to nurture this power, the power of the self, of the mind, to be able to identify what is good for you in the moment and in the long run, and to take steps in the direction of your well-being. From the objectivist viewpoint, the distinction between selfishness and unselfishness is not a distinction between, on the one hand, being intensely, clingingly concerned with your desires, and on the other hand, cultivating concern for others. Rather, from the objectivist viewpoint, the distinction between selfishness and unselfishness is the distinction between, on the one hand, developing your precious power, your mind, yourself, to care for yourself, and on the other hand, not developing this power, the power of the self.